Yes, what you're seeing now is Khora doing hundreds of millions of damage, yet she's invisible. How is that happening? What's good, folks? It's Nightmare Frame here with a new Warframe video coming at you with the Giga Gaploomy Slammy Khora video thing. Yes, I couldn't come up with a name, so we're just gonna make up words on the spot. I was on stream playing Warframe, right? Because apparently you can't play any other games. And someone in my chat said, hey, did you know you can use a specific arcane on Khora? And I was like, wait, that means I would have to go invisible. Does it work with companions that make you invisible? And oh boy, it does. So I went out of my way to redo an entire new Khora build just to use this arcane with the funny synergy. And it turned into a mobile Khora, meaning this is not a loot Khora using her dome, standing in one spot, whooping the freaking dome to get loot. No. You're out there zooming, doing your kabloomies with the whips. That's exactly what's happening here. Now, disclaimer for this build. It has 2 mandatory Warframe arcanes. If you don't have them, well, shoot, it's not going to be the same. You can always do a COPIUM version, but that's something else. It needs a specific companion and a specific stat stick. There will be alternatives, but they're not going to be the same. So if you're going to say, hey, I copied the build, but I'm not doing, you don't have the same items, then you're not going to be doing the big kabloomies. Simple as that. So guys, please pay attention as I'm going to break this build down bit by bit, going over all the nitty gritties that you need. And of course, I will include copium replacements for these specific items that we need. So let's go over and demonstrate this entire build from its gameplay loop, setup, and of course, the build. All right, boys, here we are. Please pay attention. There will be timestamps. So if you have any topic you're looking for, use the timestamps. Because if you comment something that's already been answered, come on, what are you doing? So let's go over her main way to deal damage, and that is Whipclaw. Whipclaw has its own hidden stats. You cannot see them because DE things. It deals impact, puncture, slash, the IPS. It scales with your strength, increases from all sources, and its augment, accumulating Whipclaw. Both strength and its augment give you base damage on the ability. The ability itself has good crit stats and decent status chance. So when it comes to a stat stick, you do not need the ceramic dagger to increase your crit chance, because with a simple blood rush, she's going to be going into red crit territory. Now, you just heard me say with Blood Rush, because Whipclaw is a pseudo-exalted, meaning it also scales with your equipped melee weapon. Now, hear me out. You can use any melee weapon you want, except combo pausing melees. If anything pauses your combo, it's garbage, because it will reset all your combo. You do not want to reset your combo, because combo equals damage. So no combo. You tickle enemies. You don't want to tickle enemies. So avoid anything that pauses combo. I'm repeating myself because people don't get this. A stat stick is just a vessel that you're going to be putting mods into to influence the damage of the pseudo-exalted. The base core stats of the weapon do not matter. Only the incarnate evolutions, Kuva elemental bonuses, some weapon skins, and some weapon unique traits. So all the bonus damage, crit damage, and IPS on the melee weapon don't matter. Only the mods and everything else I mentioned. Alright, moving on to the best stat stick for Khora. There is nothing that's going to come close to this stat stick, because it is just a massive damage boost. The Magistar Incarnate. If there's a prefix or anything on your Magistar, you're using the wrong one. The regular Magistar, because it's going to give you the higher critical damage value. Khora's Whipclaw has a 2 times crit damage. This adds a 1 times to its base 2 times. That's already a massive boost, and of course you're getting this 16% crit chance. This is all base, guys, meaning these values are applied before mods. All these other traits do not matter except this final trait. This is why this is the best stat stick. And now let's go over the mods that we used. The stance does not matter. It's just here to give us more capacity. Again, all the things that you see on the left side here do not matter. What you're looking at is just the mods. The build is simple. Base damage, crit chance, crit chance, crit chance and crit damage, more crit damage, and elemental damage. I have corrosive here. This is my Riven, crit damage, melee damage, and electricity. Faction multipliers on Whipclaw do not affect it. Same thing with negative status duration. That doesn't affect it. So this is a free negative. You always want a negative on your Riven to improve the positives. Of course, what is the replacement for this? An electric mod. That's it. And the arcane in question is melee exposure. More corrosive damage, because you want to stack as much raw damage and elemental damage on your Whipclaw. This is what's going to give you those big damage numbers. Now you might be wondering why I don't have these galvanized mods on the stat stick build, because these work but do not work, meaning they work if you kill enemies with direct melee kills. So they do not stack with Whipclaw. They do affect Whipclaw, but they do not stack with Whipclaw. So you'd have to physically hit enemies with this weapon for it to stack. And that's going to destroy you stacking certain buffs and remaining invisible. Looking at the build here, it's just pure corrosive. And I'm getting more elemental damage with my Helminth ability, Nourish. Nourish gives you that juicy viral boost. Not only that, it's an energy multiplier. So any incoming sources of energy is then multiplied by that 2.73 times. And as you can see, we have negative efficiency here, and we're not even running out of energy with negative efficiency. And here's another thing to boost more damage on Khora. Because this is a hammer, we're going to be using Magus Aggress. Magus Aggress is an operator arcane that increases your crit damage on hammers and heavy blades. How to activate it is pretty simple. You go into your operator or drifter, use the melee action to transference back into your Warframe, and then you have the 300% boost to your crit damage. Now, because I'm not doing direct melee strikes with my weapon, these stacks will not disappear. For example, if I were to melee strike an enemy right now, you see it went down from 4 to 3. However, if I use my Whipclaw, it's not moving. Now, the other boost to critical damage is the purple Archon Shards. As it reads, gain 37% melee critical damage. This is at base. Now, if your energy is over 500, look at our energy, 600. If our energy is over 500, that critical damage is doubled. This is talking about your max energy, not your current energy. So this is your current energy. Your max energy is your total achievable energy. So as long as you have over 500 energy, you're chilling with double the critical damage. Not only that, have a look at our other bonus to critical damage, Tenacious Bond. This is coming from our companion, Venari. If we take a look at the Venari build, it has Tenacious Bond. We don't care about the first part. We care about the second part. If the companion's critical chance is over 50%, then you gain a 1.2 times final crit damage multiplier. And if we look at the Venari weapon, it is using bites, and it takes our crit chance over 50%. So we are chillin' with crit damage. But that's not all, of course. Let's take a look at this Khora build. You already know the stat stick, you already know the Helminth, you already know the Archon Shards. Let's go over the actual build. Looking at the build, we have Corrosive Projection in the aura. This reduces any enemy's armor by 18%. PSF for the foot maxing. Of course, our strength multipliers are coming from Blind Rage and Precision Intensify because we're replacing the fourth ability. Again, this is not a loot stationary Khora. This is a run and smack enemies in the face and watch them blow up. Range is at 175% with Stretch and Augur Reach. This gives our Whipclaw explosion radius 8.75 meters. The max is 10. That's with an overextended and stretch. But I do not want to lose any strength because I want as much viral elemental multiplier and energy multiplier. Equilibrium, this is going to be boosting our energy income because it converts health orbs into energy and vice versa. Prime Continuity is going to be our only duration mod as it's able to maintain our Nourish. Continuity is just here for Nourish and nothing else. And of course, accumulating Whipclaw will give us base damage on our Whipclaw as we keep stacking it up. Talking about more damage boosts. Arcane Fury, you have a 60% chance to trigger on a critical hit, and this gives you a 180% melee base damage. So yeah, we're stacking a lot of base damage and crit damage. And then finally, Arcane Crepulsar. While invisible, you gain 3 times final critical damage and 30% ability strength. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. So we have a lot of damage multipliers. Now there's a way to increase your range, but also maintain some strength. This will require a bit more button pressing. So if we go to Overextended and apply this here, our strength goes down to 139%, and we get a max of 10 meters. Now you want to make sure you approach an enemy, and for your invisibility trigger, I'll get to that. And then use your operator with Madarai, perform 2 Void Slings, get 40% that we just lost, activate Nourish while we're invisible. And we can still have a large AoE on our explosions. But if you don't want to do those extra steps, then just use Augur Reach. Now, on to the thing that's making us invisible. You can use the regular shade, Prisma shade, or the shade prime. It really doesn't matter. All it's here to do is make us invisible. Let's take a look at that build. We have Ghost. Cloaks the owner when enemies are within 24 meters. Guardian, when our shields break, helps us with our shields. Duplex Bond. This is the only way our shade will be able to attack, because when it is invisible, it goes into pussy mode. It doesn't do anything. It becomes the most useless piece of crap. So Duplex Bond allows it to spawn clones and is able to attack. We want it to attack to give us some bonuses. We have Shield Charger here to regenerate shields and give us additional shield multiplier. The Companion marks the target and we get some free loots. Synth Deconstruct for some health orb drops, so we can convert that into energy. Manifold Bond, so when we kill enemies with 3 or more status effects, it reduces the cooldowns for these abilities. Now the weapon in question is the Tazakor. Because we have Nourish on the build, we're giving our Tazakor viral. So we're modding it for radiation, magnetic, and gas, and it has innate electricity. So this is over 3 status effects already, so it's gonna trigger Manifold Bond like crazy. Also, don't forget we have Tandem Bond on our Venari. It's giving us bonus combo as it goes around and attacks enemies. So yeah, more crit damage, more debuffs on enemies. Boom. We can switch this to have different types of modes. And of course, since we have a lot of strength on the build, it gives us a speed multiplier. So now we have that zooming potential. To be honest, I always keep it in attack mode, so it's always triggering Tandem Bond for me. That's passive combo gain. And here's another tip. If you want a bit more energy, you can also do this. So if you go to your Venari and change the clause to electricity, so we put electricity here, put Shock Collar, as long as it has some electricity, and you can go back to the build and put Archon Stretch, your Venari can trigger Archon Stretch for you. As it attacks, have a look. You got Archon Stretch. So that's even more energy. Big time. And it's giving us combo as it's attacking with Tandem Bond. Have a look at that passive combo gain. We didn't even have to hit any enemy. Alright, so let's demonstrate this in, of course, Steel Path real quick. Venari is attacking enemies, giving me combo. Very nice. Thank you so much, Venari. All right, let's go back. And here we go, waiting for enemies to go invisible. That's all we do. That's all we do. We're zooming. Look how fast we're moving. Very mobile. This is my new favorite way to play Khora. Look at our energy as well. We're chilling. This is a negative efficiency build. Not having to worry about energy at all. See, it's tagging this guy. If it dies, it's going to drop either a health or an energy orb. There we go. We picked up health and energy orb. Look at that in the middle. Because we're running overextended, I have to use my matter right here and there. If I didn't have overextended, I'll just be casting my Nourish here and there. So that's one way if you want to play it. Now, of course, if I'm not running overextended and I have the initial base strength right there without the minus 60% strength, I don't need to do Void Slings anymore with Matter-Eye, and I can use whatever other focus school I want. I can go with Vazarin if I want additional survivability, because as you saw, the build doesn't have any shields, rolling guard, whatever. It's only depending on the Sentinel to go invisible and give it some extra shields. So Vazarin is one way to do it. Or then again, if you want some comfortable ease of use, especially when it comes to downtime in the game, you can always go with Naramon. But then again, if you want even more strength, then you can just stick with Matter-Eye. That's up to you. Yeah, so if you do not have the Shade, you have the Copium version, the Kubro. Kubro's absolutely worse in every shape or form because it's dumb and stupid, and it will die more often than not. And your Shade can just chill and send out its clones. You can also run Duplex on the Kubro, but it's just not the same, and it doesn't have the spread like the Tazakor has. And it doesn't regenerate your shields or anything like that. This is why the Shade is just better for this loadout. Anyway, folks, that has been it from me. I do have enjoyed and learned something from this video. If you did, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do it for the description. Thanks for watching. And as always, a peace. Bye-bye now.